Hello, everyone, and welcome to another empowering conversation. Today, we are joined by a woman whose story is not just inspiring, it is a masterclass in faith, fortitude, and fierce self advocacy. Brittany Forrest went from being placed on a PIP, a performance improvement plan, those who don't know what PIP is, to landing a major promotion as a business line marketing manager for a national firm's forensic risk practice. Her story is one of resilience, rededication, and divine timing. And today she is here to share that story with us. Brittany is a voice in the world of media marketing and purpose-driven storytelling. With nearly a decade of experience, she built a dynamic career in public relations, a brand strategist, community engagement, and multimedia production, anchored by a decision to step out in faith and walk fully in her purpose. Originally from Chicago, Midwest, and now rooted in St. Louis, Missouri, Brittany serves as a national marketing manager at a leading professional services firm while also running her own successful business, Branded by Brittany, helping brands tell their story with confidence and clarity. She's collaborated with platforms such as TEDx St. Louis, STL TV, Odyssey Radio, and the Relationship-ish community, and in 2025 expanded her brand with Line Dancing with Brit as a joy-filled venture that brings people together through movement and music. Every chapter of Brittany's journey, from corporate spaces to community stages, has been guided by her faith, vision, and deep commitment to empowering others. Her story is a powerful reminder that with clarity, courage, and confirmation, women can rise and pivot and flourish on their own terms. We welcome you, Brittany, and thank you so much for being here, and let's dive into it.
Thank you so much for having me, Latoya. That introduction was amazing. I was almost like, who's she talking about?
Right, right now. Dynamic. It's dynamic. So let's start off with the headline that actually just sparked this conversation. There was a Facebook post that you posted. We follow each other. I came upon your post and it was the PIP to promotion, performance improvement plan to promotion. What was telling about your post was your experience. There's so many women who deal with the woes and politics behind corporate America. So walk us through that transformation and what it looked like emotionally and professionally for you during that time.
Yes. Wow. Pip to promotion is a heck of an accomplishment that many people don't actually get. And so I'm very humbled by this because it easily could have been me being moved down to the company with the PIP and everything. So this journey actually started last year. So in 2024, I was a senior marketing specialist at the time. I was working on a different team, and there was a little bit of restructure within my department. Basically, my old director was no longer who I was reporting to, and then I got a new director. But with that new director, we already had a good rapport. We would talk all the time. She seemed to very much so like me. We were very collaborative. She seemed to try to get to know me either a little bit outside of work. She just really seemed like she was a fan of mine. And then it just seems like it was a turn that happened once I became reporting to her. Now, she's always been one of the types to be very particular, maybe even a bit of a micromanager. Sometimes we have managers, unfortunately, in corporate spaces that are like that, unfortunately. But I found a way to navigate it. I am such an adaptable person by personality. And so I even use those skills in my working life as well, because knowing you're going to deal with people. So work as people relations all day, every day. And then just within my personality, within having a master's in public relations, you have to know how to deal with certain people and know what the right things to say and how to conflict resolution. So basically, I recall it was one project I was working on in like March and April, And that's what sparked it all. I was working on this project that was for an upcoming conference, and I had to review an online resource guide for people at the conference
Yeah.
so they can learn about our services and what we bring to the table for tax, insurance, and advisory. And so I had to constantly keep looking at it, making sure it's being updated. I might have missed a few marks here and there, but my director at the time made like a really big thing out of it. And it seems like she wasn't trusting my integrity within my work and value. And so that kind of sparked into not just her just, hey, you probably could have did this better. It just turned into more like a condescending tone when it came back to work email and everything and escalating. Like, I'm not the type of person at work to get out of character because that's just not me. I'm looking like these are people I work with every day. I want to keep the peace. I want to keep the synergy. It's no need for that. But I just felt the energy of the condescending tones or talking down to me or just feeling like I'm not actually good at my job. I raised the concern to my old director, which is like the senior director of our particular team. He said he would have a conversation with her. Somehow things got back to her, and I feel like she started to treat me differently. So I just felt like I learned a lot in that situation of who do I actually tell in situations like that? Do I actually tell the director that's over her? Do I take my concerns to HR? But sometimes if you know the corporate space, sometimes HR is maybe not always for you. It can always be to protect the company itself. So with that being said, I learned a lot of being very strategic and being calculated. Our one-on-one conversations that we would have once a week when we have our touch base meetings became very awkward. She even was noticeably emotional and like almost crying on the phone. She felt our relationship and working relationship has been severed. I was trying to move past this. I took accountability for the little marks and misses that I made, but I just did not like in the fact that how she amplified it more than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Other people on the team didn't really seem like it was that big of an issue. Just, okay, it can be corrected. Let's move on. She made a bigger thing than it needed to be. Then from there, she ended up maybe a month or so later, put me on a PIP. And I thought that was very much so retaliation. Because if you look at the contents of what the PIP said, it was very much so petty picking and choosing of things. Like things that could have been easily resolved and everything. It was just really undermining my work, undermining the type of professional that I am. And it really did something to my self-worth a little bit in the working space. I
Yes.
started to feel a little bit more imposter syndrome. Again, I used to suffer with that back in 2022 at a previous job. And that's what actually catapulted me to start therapy was being imposter syndrome and just not feeling valued with the work you're doing, even though you're working hard. So
Yeah.
I was very surprised to see her put me on a PIP in the things that she wrote in the PIP and making it seem like I wasn't good at my job when for a fact, I know everyone else on my team, no problem working with me, had no problem with your work or anything. So I just thought that was a very unfortunate situation. I had just got engaged that March of last year, and then a few months later being put on a PIP. And so, of course, there's a bunch of things running in my mind. I'm just newly engaged on a high, about to plan a wedding. Things cost money. Things are very expensive. And then to know that I'm on a PIP, I've never been on a PIP before. So I'm researching like, what can happen? What's the worst that can happen? I'm talking to one of my work best friends. What is this situation? I don't know how I'm going to be able to overcome this. I don't know how I'm going to navigate this. I started doing my own research, and most of the time, people are terminated or let go or laid off after having a PIP. The chances are bouncing back from that can be 50-50 or sometimes slim to none.
Yeah.
Through the grace of God, I prayed hard about it. I cried many nights about it because I'm like, wow, I actually really do enjoy working at this company. I love the flexibility all around. And I really don't want to enter and try to find a new job or work search again.
Yeah.
I did pray. I would be going to church. I would do things to try to calm my mind down. I would write journal a bit, trying to get my feelings out there. But through the grace of God, last August, I got put on a different team because my senior director, I guess he might have had conversations with amongst other people on the team and other directors that may have worked with me, they saw that maybe it might be best for me to just be away and be in a different team away from my old director because they still saw some value and worth within me. So I moved to another team in August, and now I reported directly to the top senior director of the entire business line department. So
Mhm.
that was like really good because then it gave me visibility to the woman in charge of showcasing what can I actually can do and demonstrating my quality of work. And so I was tasked with a lot of different projects across the business lines, working with many directors, working on different projects, campaigns, and leading a lot of things. And she gave me the opportunity to really showcase what I could do. So leading meetings, leading projects. And so I did the best I could to work hard, stay proactive, stay on it. I just was taking the accountability, like what could I do better to show them I'm great at my job. I know I am, but now I need to go harder. So I reorganized my work life. If
Mhm.
anybody uses Trello, it saves Trello got me very organized because I work in marketing. We do a lot of multi-channel marketing campaigns, and it's easy to miss things. It's easy to forget things. So I have to stay on it all the time.
Yeah.
Reorganize my life. Trello is a game changer. If you don't use it, you definitely should. They have a free version of it. And
Uh-huh.
now I guess that was a pretty long story, but I guess long story short, after working under the top director of my department, there was an opportunity that came about on the forensic team that I'm on now with a manager role. And I was already working with that particular team in a smaller capacity. And so I already had a good working relationship with them. I already did a lot of projects and things with them, and stakeholders knew who I was. I applied for it. The interview process was a little bit more stringent than I thought it would be, but especially for it being internal, but I ended up getting it. And it was really a blessing. It was just more of a relief when it happened because
Mm.
I really showed what I could do even in the face of adversity. I
Yeah.
stayed prayed up and I made a promise to God. I said, if I get from PIP to promotion, I have to tell my story and things that I learned along the way because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that look like us that go through
Yes.
every day
Yeah.
and feel discouraged. And I want to encourage them that you can turn it around.
Absolutely. Let me just say this, the context of it all. HR is my background.
Yeah.
So I'm the resources.
Hmm.
And not only do I have a master's in human resources, but I'm also finishing up my doctorate.
Amazing.
This is the thing when you're coming into an organization, when you're the only human resource person.
Yeah.
And so the responsibility is heavy, yet you understand it. You are the liaison for employees and
Yeah.
organization to align what's in the best interest of both. So reorganization challenges come into play. My position transitioning into human resources being reported to a specific department. This can happen, but it has to make sense.
Yeah.
As a human resource professional, you have a responsibility to maintain compliance with employee
Like,
relation,
yep.
confidentiality,
Mhm.
all of that good stuff. There's a level of trust and also legal that's involved. You have
Yeah.
to be really careful with information and you have to be careful with your job. When that happened, there were things happening not in the best interest of human resources, which can be difficult when you're only thinking about the legalities. So when there's a level of informality, it becomes very difficult. And so the human resources department was transitioning. They don't have experience in human resources. So it puts you in a really tough position to do your job and do it
Mhm.
effectively because you are expected to report certain things that you may not. I can't report
Mhm.
to you things that are in confidentiality.
Exactly.
So then that becomes a problem. The changes were made for financial reasons and other dynamics, sure. But the pushback of the department and the responsibility of the department, and why isn't it taken seriously as any other department here? It just didn't make any sense. And that's when I knew that it is okay for me to make a decision that aligns with my business ethics. And it's okay to just bow out gracefully and wish you well. That's really what I decided to do. It just wasn't a fit. I am a team player when it makes sense. I become challenging when it doesn't, because I'm looking from a different vantage point. From a human resources standpoint, everything has to make sense for the betterment of the business. And sometimes it may not make sense to someone who does not have any experience.
That's
Well,
a big responsibility too.
yeah, it is a very big responsibility. I think what's happening now, PIPs are used very loosely. And because you are placed in an authoritative space, it's as if, oh, I can just use this.
I think
No.
that's exactly how I felt. I felt she just became a director maybe the year before,
Uh-huh.
and I think it was her first time actually having a direct report,
Yeah.
and since she didn't know really what to do next after the little run-in that we had, I think pulling that out was just very much so unnecessary. I felt
Uh-huh.
like it was, again, a bit of retaliation. And I thought about reaching out to HR, but I didn't know how to, or the right way I should have, or like how to be strategic about it before it blew up into more than it needed
Yeah.
to be. And I didn't want to cause a scene or anything, but I also I felt a bit slighted, especially if I feel like it's going to be actually removed from the company. It was
Uh-huh.
really hard trying to teeter that line, like, when do I bring in HR and tell my side of the story, or is it even necessary? Will it take longer than you just take the PIP and see what you can do with the situation? So it
Yeah.
was really hard for me to try to make a decision of what route I really wanted to go, because it could have went very south very quickly.
It very well could have, and we're far past it now, of course, but reporting the issue to HR would have been okay. And for me being human resources, I'm the one
Right.
reviewing the PIP.
Exactly.
And when you've never been addressed in that way, or you've been praised with the accolades and things that you have done for the company, then you go there. It takes you to a space of, okay, what is this really about?
That's the part.
Yeah, what is this really about? Because this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't, my questions weren't ever answered, because again, I'm coming from a human resources standpoint, questions, and I'm expecting you to know what you're doing,
Mhm.
especially if I'm reporting to you. And when you
Exactly.
cannot make this make sense, then what is this really about? When you're training the
Mhm.
person who's handing this out
Mhm.
poorly,
Yep.
and there's nothing you can tell me about it, what is this really about? So I knew I did not have anywhere to go because of the relationships that were already set within the company. I knew that I didn't have anyone to advocate for me. I knew that there was a culture that was set that was very informal. And sure, your culture can be, but human resources has to be formal.
Yeah,
It has to
absolutely.
be clear,
Yep.
straightforward. There's no gray area with that. And so if this is how this organization runs itself, more power to you. It's just not aligned with what I believe in and what human resources should be. I made the decision to walk away.
Powerful, because
Yeah.
you would have been in a place that you have felt miserable. You've been in a place that you felt like not valued. And you
Yeah.
said a key thing. You felt like you didn't have anybody to advocate for you. And in my experience of being in corporate, it's so powerful to have people to advocate for you. You can be really good at your job, but if other people aren't singing your praises too, or you're not having the enough visibility, how are people supposed to make those decisions when it comes to promotions, raises, or even advancement, any type of way within an organization? So having people in your corner makes a difference. And it can even be on the adverse side. There's people, unfortunately, that might not even be that great at their job, but they have the
Yeah.
right corner.
But they have, and that's, yeah. And oh my goodness. They have
Relationship.
absolutely the right people in
Yes.
the corner. So It's one of those things, like, thank God I was in a position to where I can make that decision.
Yes.
But there's a lot of people that just have to deal and they cannot make that decision on their
Mhm.
own. Those are the people who need to be heard and also have outlets and resources if they don't know how to handle those situations.
Exactly.
So that's the important piece. It's funny because having these conversations, I find so many women or just people that in these times are afraid. What are they going to do? Who are they going to go to? How are they going to survive? What?
It's too much in the times we're living in right now. The economy is tough. The job market is very much so challenging and very competitive right now. Everyone is trying to find an opportunity to be in a situation like this. It can be very scary to a lot of people because
Yeah,
they rely on their job. That's their way of living. So they have families to support, just everything,
yeah.
just to support themselves. I wish I had more of a resources when I was going through my PIP
Mhm.
situation, my PIP
Mhm.
journey.
Yeah.
I did fail to mention that I did end up getting off my PIP in November.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
See? Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
quite a while because leaving one team, going to another team, the new director had to see my style of work. So it's like
Mhm.
now I have to demonstrate what I can do. And then
Yeah.
after some time has passed and she received feedback from other people I worked with and colleagues, then she was able to make an informed decision. But sometimes people are on PIPs longer or a short amount of time. It really just depends on the organization or who is in charge of.
Yeah. I have never been on a bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I have never, and I was offended.
I'm like, I
And
know you cannot be talking about me. And it humbled me because it made me feel like, and I put this on the post, don't think it can't be you, even though you didn't deserve it, even though you know your quality of work, you know what you bring to the table, the education, just everything. But there's people out there.
put on a pit by someone who has no human resource experience.
You see how backwards that is? And
I was offended.
I was very offended. But I will say, once the PIP was lifted, the director I was reporting to, she was like, "I don't understand why he was on this."
Couldn't even, I couldn't even understand. Yeah. When I spoke to the executive director, I said, this is clearly a push out.
Yeah.
Clearly push out. So make it better for you guys. I didn't even wait around. Even the resolve didn't even make
Mhm.
any sense. The thing is, there is a level of intimidation that goes on within organizations as well.
Absolutely.
I'm very confident in the work that I do. I put in the work,
Same.
right? But I also have to be mindful, and this is what I learned throughout this process. It is somewhat of a humbling experience as well, but
Mm.
my confidence in what I do, especially when it's geared towards the betterment of the business,
Mhm.
right? To some who don't understand may take it as if I know it all.
And that's not what it is at all.
That is absolutely false. Because at the end of the day, we're here for one common goal. You shouldn't feel a level of intimidation at all with my knowledge as I'm helping the organization. That is not a flex at all. This wake up call because again, I have the experience, I have the education to back it up. You don't.
You are saying it to the choir when I tell you about that. The level of intimidation in corporate spaces, especially for women that look like us, is at an all-time high. A lot of times in my experience, I talk to peer group friends, my girlfriends who are very much so same level of education as I am, work at great organizations, and then
Yeah,
still deal with issues and adversities, dealing with the same thing.
yeah,
And it's like we have to constantly improve our work to be on
absolutely.
the same level as our working peers. And I just think that is just such a crazy complex when most of the time you may be quote unquote the smartest person in the room, the most educated person in the room, the most experienced person in the room. Like in my old team, I was the youngest person. I was the
Mhm.
only Black woman. There was another person that was of color, but not Black. And then I think I might have been the only one with a master's. And even though I am younger, I have a lot of diverse marketing, communications, media experience. So
Yes.
that can, I guess, from the outside looking in, somebody could be intimidated by that, but I don't carry
Absolutely.
myself that way. I
That's the
work,
thing.
it's a team player, work hard, collaborative, try
Yeah.
to bring the synergies together.
Yeah.
Of course, applying the knowledge and the experience where necessary.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I learned that there is a term for that when that level of intimidation first it starts off great and you have a good relationship with them and everything. And then it
Mhm.
just goes elsewhere. And I thought I was going crazy at the time with my PIP. I'm like, is anybody else feeling this? And then I
Uh-huh.
started hurtful everything. It's called the pet to threat phenomenon.
And that's what I want to get into now because you mentioned pet to
Yeah.
pet experience. And as the youngest and only Black woman on your team, let's unpack this, okay?
Yes.
That dynamic teach you about the workplace culture and how did you navigate through it?
Yes. So once I really started to understand what the pet to threat theory was, I had to stop and reflect and think about what I was doing in the past and how can I correct that in the future and be a little bit more strategic moving forward to protect myself.
Yes.
And it's crazy that you have to think that you have to protect yourself, but corporate is a game and you have to know how to play it. So I was looking at actions I did before. I feel like my team was very open. They were very collaborative. I felt people would talk about a little bit of their personal life and everything. So I felt inclined because I match energy. That's just the kind of person I am. I'm like, if you're showing that, okay, I don't mind opening up. And so I would do that. I would connect with people a little bit on a deeper level. And I did that with my old director. And then I feel like it backfired on me. I felt like the things that we once you would talk about that I was willing to share, she used that against me, saying that maybe if I focused on more of these things at work, and just like how I would with X, Y, and Z that I do outside of work, then I'd
Yeah.
be more successful. And I just thought that was crazy because we had such a good rapport. I'm talking about when me and my fiance, we went to Dallas last year and she wanted to come meet me because she lives in that area. And
Oh,
so
okay.
she drove from where she lives in Texas and to come meet me and my fiance. We took a picture together. She was excited to see me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, great. I get to see one of my coworkers and everything. That was before she was my director. And then there was a conference, an internal conference that the marketing and communications department had. And she was like, honestly excited to see me, just talking to me and everything. So it was just very crazy. That I'm like, this is the same person that will essentially be on my face and just like really interested in everything in my life.
Yeah.
And then the time that I report to her, thinking that we were going to have good rapport, everything after one situation, one project, now that determines how I perform for the entire fiscal year. I don't think so. And then you
Yeah.
are just trying to pick and choose to make your case for this tip. I just thought was very astonishing and just really
Yeah.
a slap in the face and an abuse of your authority.
Yeah.
So that's why it really did blindside me because I wasn't expecting this from this person. So from there, I learned it's okay to be cordial and everything with your coworkers, and you don't have to share too much. And I learned that sometimes I
Oh,
can
yes.
share too much. But
Yes.
I need to, 'cause I'm a connector type of person. And if they
Yep.
open up to me, I will open up a little bit, but not say all my business.
Because
But
you
you
don't
know, but
always want to be on the surface. You don't
yeah,
always want to be on the surface. You want to have some depth
but it's like,
into
but it's
it. Let's human together. Like,
that's what I thought, but then it's like those things were used against me. I feel like there was also probably some intimidation, being young, being educated, knowing how fast I could potentially grow in the company, even though you're at this level in age difference. She's older than me, quite older than me. So I just
yeah.
feel like it's just a lot of different variables. This typical view of who I was and
Yeah.
everything, but something that my therapist has said that was very powerful about when she came to visit, wanted to meet me when I was in Dallas and to
Mhm.
meet me and my fiance. my therapist was like, you realize she was sizing you up, right? I was like, what? I didn't think about that. She was like, yeah, she wanted to see like exactly who you say you are, how you portray yourself, and how you portray your fiance, or things that I would say surface level. She wanted to see who you were about and everything. I did not think about that. Oh, that was so mind blowing and powerful. How I move in the workspaces. I'm not going to change myself for anybody. It's just being more strategic. I'm still the nice, bubbly person that I am. I don't say too much. I keep things surface level. They say, hey, how was your weekend? Oh, it was great. Great with time with family and friends. How was yours? I don't have to get into my business and everything because people talk. Then they wonder, how do you have this? Or how do you do this? Or how are you able to? I don't want anybody thinking they know me or thinking or want to. People probably will try to pocket watch or just what is your lifestyle? I haven't even really opened up and talked anything about my wedding or anything or any of my band trip, anything. If someone asks, because they know I keep it to the point. Like I had one lady would ask me, so how's things going? I'm like, yeah, it's going great. Just a little here and there. Just keep it surface level. I wouldn't tell anybody the date I got married. I don't want nobody knowing anything.
No, now you can put a little something on my desk if you like, but it'll be during the fall.
I work remotely, so if you want to send me a little something
or a well wish is all I need. Thank you.
Knowing that everybody doesn't have your best interests at heart, because these are your coworkers. You're not obligated to be anybody's friend. You're just here to work. In the rare cases, you may find real friends, and I do have two. One of them I've been friends with since college, so that doesn't count. But another one I actually met at my current company, and we're real friends. But other than that, I just keep it nice, cute, and cordial with everybody. Keep it moving about my day. So that's how I really navigate things, and just keeping myself organized. And I think since I've been on a PIP, it's like maybe a little bit of a trauma response, not gonna lie, but I always work like I'm on a PIP. And I do that because don't ever be too comfortable. And I think that's the thing. That's not be too comfortable.
Yes, absolutely. Because you never know, you may be training somebody to replace you.
Situations happen like that all the time, unfortunately. So I try not to be too comfortable. I try to be on my toes.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. But faith has played a huge role in your journey throughout it all. And how did you maintain the spiritual confidence when your professional environment was unstable?
Well, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier in part of the episode, but I prayed a lot. I cried. Some days I would just one day have a good day. Next day I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening. I always was looking, could this be my last day? Are they trying to kick me out the company? I don't know what's next. It's just the fear of the unknown. I would pray a lot. I would try to find ways to calm my mind down. If anxiety was creeping in, I would try to find things that I really enjoy doing, or I like to distract my mind because I can get overstimulated. Went to church, really listened to the sermons and everything. And it just seems like the sermons was like right on point. I'm like, how do you know that I'm going through this right now? Oh my God. It felt like God was talking to me through those sermons. And so I just felt, okay, even though it looks bad right now, God is amazing. He can do anything. I was like, I have faith in him, even though if faith feels small right now, I'm still gonna have faith, even if it's the size of a mustard seed, that everything's gonna be okay.
Yes.
In the midst of me having a PIP, I was fresh on a PIP. I made manifestation. I'm gonna get a promotion next year.
Yeah.
I just became on a PIP. I was just pipped. I remember I made a tweet on Twitter and I said, I'm gonna have a promotion. I was like, I'm gonna get that promotion. And so I almost forgot I made that tweet. So a year later, when I saw that, I'm like, this was like fresh. Me being on the PIP. For me to make this type of prayer manifestation is very bold because I could have actually been out the company. But I think just being steadfast. I have a devotion book that I open up every day and encouragement every morning. So that kept me going. Just the prayers. I would try to find positive things that are happening in my life, write it down. Journaling helped me a lot.
Yes.
And then when I am feeling upset and stuff, talking to people that I trust, my family, my friends,
Yes.
that don't mind being a sounding board or like people that you can be vulnerable with. I think that's very important. So just keeping the faith, finding ways how you connect spiritually with God really does help. And gospel
Yeah.
music definitely is one of those things that take me there.
Oh,
It's the ones that take me
yes.
there. Writing down, look at all the good and the blessings you do have. And that kind of affirm
Absolutely.
things are still good in the midst of this storm. And the storm shall pass.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm always talking to the Lord. He's on the main line.
Okay,
Every time, all the time, even in those moments, I have to be like, Lord, insert yourself in this,
yes,
please,
yes.
because I don't know what's going to happen.
And when you just let go, and I think that was one of the biggest things because I think maybe personality wise, I just feel like I have to control things. And it's like things are going to be out of your control and you're going to have to
Yes.
just allow that. And that's just life. And when you let go, you feel a lot freer. You're not
Yeah.
worrying as much. You're not stressing
Yes.
as much. Your anxiety is not kicking in as much because you're just going to be like, look, it's just going to work out how it's supposed to. And I
Yeah.
pray and I just claim it will.
It took me some time to incorporate that or be intentional because I have always been a person that operated in caution, been just nervous, or I did not want to make the wrong decisions, or I've really just lived a life. I'm talking about from early ages. I need to be strategic. I need to plan. There was no room for error.
Yeah.
But
A
I
lot of
think,
pressure.
yes, a lot of pressure. And I had to, in therapy,
Yeah.
really talk and unpack that because I just did not want to fail.
Yeah.
It's something freeing when you just come to that understanding and then just to let it go. I fail. If I don't, I cannot put that pressure on me any longer. I can't because I found myself reflecting that through my children. So I was just like, well, okay, now because my youngest, she's so ambitious and she has to do it and she has to complete it. So I'm just like, let me really
Yeah.
I know how that feels. And also in a work in progress for me to be intentional and to be consistent with not putting so much pressure on myself. I feel like it's working.
Yeah.
I hope it's working. It's giving me a level of freedom to not put so much pressure. So that's where I am with that. So I'm glad you mentioned that because it, even through this podcast, it took me so long to do this because I wanted it done a certain way. The research, what's what, how do you do this? Number one, because this is an unfamiliar space for me. What helps me is to be able to talk to women like you. And it makes me comfortable. So if I'm having these conversations, the platforms can reach more women who've experienced the same. This is one of those moments where I'm just going with it. To a certain extent, you plan out things, of course.
Yeah.
But wherever this goes is wherever it's supposed to go.
I am also a person like that too. It has to be a certain way. But then after a certain time, I'm like, life just gets busy and stuff. Just the best thing you can do is just start. Because if you don't,
Yeah.
you just plan in all the time and still won't have anything. Just
Yeah.
start. Just do it. That everything else will just follow through. You may fail and that's okay. And I think Black women, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves for a lot of different things. I feel like that's a mixture of things. Historically, we have to take care of
We
everything.
have to be on all the time.
We have to be that superwoman trope. We got to let that go. We are not super. We need help too. We need rest. And I had to really.
We need rest.
They said, I think we down ourselves that we're not being productive. Like, why aren't we doing this?
Yes.
And you wonder why we have burnout is because we feel like we have to be always on, like you said. And now we have nothing left to give anyone.
We're depleted.
Like rest will literally help you be the productive that you want to be.
Absolutely. I thank you for this time and this conversation because that was actually what I wanted to end on. What would you tell a person that's dealing with the pressure of having to keep going and to not always put yourself in a space where you're overwhelming yourself, or take those moments to breathe and rest and tell yourself it's okay. Lord willing, you always have another day to finish. You always have another day to start.
Joy comes in the morning, and that is So true. It may seem like it's crazy. Tomorrow's a new start, God willing.
Yes.
I would tell that person to really prioritize your self-care and your self-love. You cannot give anybody, not your job, not a relationship, not a friendship, anything if you don't pour into yourself. You're going to be pouring from an empty cup. So
Yeah.
if you find yourself being very high stress, it can take a toll on your body. I know
Yeah.
from experience, like anxiety can attack the body.
Yeah.
You need to listen to your body. You need to listen to your mental. It takes those necessary steps to pour back into yourself, do what you need to do so you can show up in all these spaces the right way.
Yes. And the authentic way. Absolutely. Okay. So it's game time. So this game, it's called Sis Absolutely or Absolutely Not.
Okay.
Okay. So it is, we're going to keep it cute, but we're going to keep it honest.
Okay.
This is where, as far as absolutely is, you are going to take a leap of faith. You're going to walk by faith. You're just going to go with it. Absolutely not is, it's a no for me. And I'm protecting my peace, pretty much. Okay. So I'm going to ask a few questions. And
Okay.
you're going to answer absolutely, sis, or absolutely. Okay. All right. First question. You're offered a six-figure job, but it's giving toxic vibes already.
Absolutely not. I need to protect my peace. And I had a toxic job that wasn't six figures before. So I don't want to do that. And I don't want to do this. I feel
Yes.
like there's always a better opportunity out there. And I don't have time for that.
Yes. Absolutely
Not.
not. Okay. Okay. A woman you don't trust wants to collab for the culture.
She wants to collab for the culture. I think that might be a tricky one because I'll have to really see what her intentions are. Like, what is the real premise of this?
Yeah.
What are you trying to achieve here? If it's somebody I don't like or trust, then absolutely not. If I had to pick, I don't know because you might move shady and I don't have time for that.
The vibes over here always. The vibes over here always.
Clock it.
Okay. You feel called to share your testimony, but the tea is real personal.
Absolutely, because this PIP to promotion was very personal for me. That was very personal for me because I used to always tie my worth to my accomplishments and accolades and achievements. And I had to stop doing that because that's
Yeah.
not my personality. I'm so much more than just that. But people know that I am very ambitious and things like that. Probably hearing this was probably a shock to many. Really? You? And I'm like, hey, we both shocked. I didn't know I was going to get this too.
Right.
It is powerful to tell the stories we're not so proud of because 9 times out of 10, there's a lot of people that dealt with the same thing that which somebody else stood up and told their story to encourage them, to empower them. So that's why I said, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. People, they can talk bad about me. They can say, okay, maybe she doesn't deserve this or that. But I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
even care because it's just me. It's being
Yeah.
human. It's being,
Yeah.
it's trying to connect on a deeper level and knowing that, like, in a sense, we're all in this together trying to figure out this thing we call life
Yeah.
and corporate if you're in a corporate space.
Exactly. Absolutely. You're right about that. Spot on. You've been at your job 3 years, no raise, no promo. Are you quitting with no backup plan?
See, the quitting part, yes, but the no backup plan, no.
This is a that's the right answer.
I know. So I would say absolutely not, only because I would still have a backup plan because I want to know where I'm going now. If I was in a good space financially, then yes, I would.
Yes.
But just knowing how risky things are in today's society, economy, I would want to have a backup plan. So I'll say absolutely not.
Okay. All right. God gives you a vision, but it looks nothing like your current life. Are we moving, staying still?
God is trying to tell me something. It's going to be all over me and everything. And it's going to be something pulling me, the Holy Spirit pulling me to it. So I'm like, "Well, you say go, God, I'm going. I'm just going to trust you." I'm going to close my eyes. I'm just going to trust you. I don't know. And I'm like, it might blow my mind. Most times it will.
Oh my God. There's been many times, Lord.
Yeah. And the fact that we asked him, like, "Are you sure?" is the funny part.
Come on.
Yeah.
My last question. The group chat
Ooh.
ain't vibing with your growth journey. Are you leaving it?
Yes, I am leaving. Okay, I've been a part of many girl group chats, and look, I done seen it turn real ugly many times. And when people are at different stages in their life, it can be very conflicting, especially a part of growing up.
Yeah.
Sometimes we may not have to talk every day and we could still be friends. I think for a lot of times I thought, let's always be in the group chat. We could talk all the time. But as you get older, you realize you don't need to do that because everybody is in different phases in their life. It can affect your mental and everything. And you're like, I don't need any extra potential drama that's may come out. Or you might be on a high and somebody's on a low or vice versa. It can clash.
Yeah.
If it's not vibing, I would rather not be a part of it, especially at this point in life.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I agree. It's just a setback. Like you said, some people may not be on the same level, but we got to learn and grow. You just cannot be stagnant.
No.
It just doesn't work.
Just like with relationships, equally yoked in a sense,
Yeah.
it can cause conflict.
Because there still has to be a level of understanding because
Absolutely.
you may be moving in a direction where you just need support.
Yep.
And if that person doesn't understand, then how does that work?
Yeah.
Brittany, tell us your businesses, what's going on now with Brittany, even outside of work, and how can we get in contact with you and what we got to do, where we show up.
Oh my goodness. If you know me, you know that I am a busy bee, but if you want to contact me, I am on Instagram at Brit Media It Girl. And then my business page is branded by Brittany. Or if you want to hit me up on my personal Facebook, is Brittany Forrest. And on that, you will find all the things that I do, career related or passion projects. I started being a line dance instructor that you had mentioned earlier, the line dance with Brit. I put a lot of content on Brit Media It Girl and also on Branded by Brittany. Branded by Brittany is a business that I have that I do some PR and media and marketing related freelance work. So I help small businesses, medium-sized businesses with amplifying their voice in different marketing capacity. That's how you can find me, or you can hit me up on my personal Facebook at Brittany Forrest.
There you have it. Once again, Brittany, I just thank you so much for your time to just have this conversation with me. I look forward to just really growing with you, keeping up with you, and to see what's going on. Also, having your resources with your profession, how that can help other women who may need your assistance and services. Thank you. Thank you.
I am really honored to be on this podcast, have this conversation with you. I really hope it really does empower or encourage.
I'm prayerful. I feel it will. It's already off to a good start. So, yes. And that's a wrap for today's episode on Purposefully Made. I hope you're walking away with strategy and spirit because over here, we believe in aligning both. Whether you're talking personal brands, corporate elevation, or walking my faith in business, one thing stays true. You have everything you need inside of you to build what you've been called to create. If this episode gave you clarity on the next step, share it with your community. And if you're building something bold, tag us. We want to cheer you on. Before we go, just a reminder, there's room for you at the table. There's power in your story, and there's purpose in your path. Even the messy, uncertain parts. You were purposefully made for such a time as this. Until next time, keep building, keep believing, and keep bettering yourself. Bye.